जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। 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 यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनतीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनतीरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनतीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनतीरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनतीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनतीरवनचारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जय प्रभुपाद Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev. Sai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. श्री 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 राधा मदन मोहन भगवान की जय, श्री राधा गोपी वल्लभ की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, श्री निताय गौरंग भगवान की जय, श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह स्वामी प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्री ब्रह्म मध्व गौड़ी गुरु परंपरा सांप्रदाय की जय, श्री श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री गुरुदेव की जय, निताय गौर हरि प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपः कुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौ ब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद। नमः ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। चेतोदर्पणमर्जनं भवमहद्भवाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरिव चन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वत्मस्थापनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनं। नामकारि बहुडानि च सर्वशक्ति तत्रातिपा नियमिता स्मरणेन काल एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमिदृशम् इह जानन्यनुरागः तृणादपि सुनीचेनातरोरपि सहिष्णुना माननीयमानतेन कीर्तनयः सदा हरि न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भव तद्भक्तिरहोइत्यकी त्वयि अयि नन्दतनुज किङ्करपतितमां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्य धूलिसदर्शं विचिन्तया नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदरुधाय गिरा पुलकीर्णचितं वपु कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमिषेण चक्षुष प्रवर्षायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विरहे न मे आश्लिष्य वा पादरतं पिनस्तु मामादर्शनन्मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा विधिहतो लंपतो मात् प्रणनाथास्तु एव न पर हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हुकुम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपहतमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदिनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् ओम पवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यत्स्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्ष स्वाभ्याभ्यन्तरं शुचे श्रीविष्णु 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 हरे कृष्णा Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All Prabhujis and Matajis. Padma Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Hare Krishna. Subhara Prabhu and Nirupama Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Padma Mataji and Arvind Prabhu. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. And the whole family. Dandavat Pranam. Dandavat Pranam. Praveen Prabhu, Suma Mataji. Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Very, very fortunate to have you on the call. Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Very happy to have you on the call. Sanjay Prabhu, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Very sincere Prabhuji you are. Every morning I see, you get up at 5 o'clock, you're in the call, you're chanting. Unbelievable Prabhuji. Thank you for inspiring all of us. Hare Krishna. Anuradha Iyer Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam
Dandavat
Prabhuji.
Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
How is your health Mataji? All well?
Well, Prabhuji. Good.
Hare Krishna. Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Satyadev Prabhu, Srivali Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Radhika Arakala Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Devotees from Nasik, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Madhavi Mataji, Prasad Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna. Arvind Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Anandram Prabhu and Charanya Mataji, Hare Krishna. And Shruti Mataji also, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Mahesh Prabhu and Prashanti Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna. The most enthusiastic and powerful preacher, Mahesh Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Soumya Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna. Vivek Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Oh,
Dandavat
Hari
Pranam.
Bol, Dasharaj Prabhu is joining. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu to your whole family. Sudhakar Prabhu, your mother, Mataji, Hare Krishna,
Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Surabhi Mataji, Nilesh Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna. Kiran Babu Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna
for joining,
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Srinivas Reddy Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Thank you for joining. Akinchan Prabhu, Shobha Kumari Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Praveen Prabhu and Pooja Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hope all are in good health, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Krishna Prasad Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Madhusudan Rao Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So happy to see and meet all of you. Anupriya Mataji, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam to your mother also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Lovesh Prabhu, Hari Priya Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. You're back to Hyderabad, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna. Sunil Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Pranam Prabhuji. Pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Vani Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam to Skyla Mataji also. It's been a long time I've seen her. Hare Krishna.
I'll get her home today, Prabhuji. I was planning to come any which ways. I have to see Prabhuji also.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Hema Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for joining.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
I'm so grateful. This is such a nice, blissful, happy family. And I hope that we will remain so as time passes by. Because Kali Yuga is filled with so many circumstances, so many things. Actually, today's topic is also about how we react to different situations and how we can control our mind, right? So that's what I was thinking to speak. And I chose some verses from Bhagavatam, from Dhruva Lila. So let us try to recite a verse and then get into the discussion. Okay, where are we? No, not this one. Not this one. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yes. Can you all see my screen, Prabhuji and Matajis?
Yes,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So please repeat after me. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 8th chapter, 6th verse. Athata kirtaye vamsham. Athata kirtaye vamsham. Punya kirte kurudvaha. Punya kirte kurudvaha. Svayam bhu vashyapi manor. Svayam bhu vashyapi manor. Harer amshamsha janmana. Harer amshamsha janmana. Athata kirtaye vamsham. Punya kirte kurudvaha. Swayambhu vashyapi manor. Harer amshamsha janmaha. Harer amshamsha janmanaha. Please repeat after me. Atha. Now. Atha. Hereafter. Kirtaye. I shall describe. Vamsam. Dynasty. Punya kirte. Celebrated for virtuous activities. Kuru udvaha. O best of the Kurus. Swayambhu Vamsha. Swayambhu Vasya. Of Swayambhuva. Api. Even. Mano. Of the Manu. Hare. Of the personality of Godhead. Amsha.
Amsha.
Plenary expansion.
Plenary expansion.
Amsha,
Amsha.
part of.
Part of.
Janmana,
Janmana.
born. Born of.
Now.
Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please repeat after me. Maitreya continued.
Maitreya
O best of the Kuru dynasty,
O best of the Kuru dynasty,
I shall now describe to you
I shall now
describe to you
the descendants of Swayambhuva,
the descendants of Swayambhuva,
Manu,
Manu,
who was born of a part of a plenary expansion
who was born of the part of a plenary expansion
of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
of the
Supreme Personality of God.
Hare Krishna. So Maitreya continued, O best of the Kuru dynasty, I shall now describe to you the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu, who was born of a part of a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's read the purport here. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma is a powerful expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Brahma is Jiva Tattva, he is empowered by the Lord, and therefore he is considered a plenary expansion. One second, there is some disturbance. I'll just mute. I think somebody was not mute. Yeah. I think Padma Mataji, you are unmuting yourself. Don't need to unmute Mataji. I'm just keeping you mute. There's some disturbance in the background. Okay. Yeah, and therefore he is considered a plenary expansion of the Supreme Godhead. Sometimes it happens that when there is no suitable living being to be empowered to act as Brahma, the Supreme Lord himself appears as Brahma. Brahma is a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Swayambhuva Manu was the direct son of Brahma. The great sage Maitreya is now going to explain about the descendants of this Manu, all of whom are widely celebrated for their pious activities. Before speaking of these pious descendants, Maitreya has already described the descendants of impious activities representing anger, envy, unpalatable speech, quarrel, fear, and death. Purposefully, therefore, he is next relating this history of the life of Dhruva Maharaj, the most pious king within this universe. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji and Matajis, we'll read some translations continuing this verse about introduction of Dhruva Maharaj, and then we will get into our discussion. So 4.8.7, please focus on these few translations that we are going to read. So Maitreya Muni is telling, Swayambhuva Manu had two sons by his wife Satarrupa, and the names of the sons were Uttanapada and Priyavrata. Because both of them were descendants of a plenary expansion of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they were very competent to rule the universe, to maintain and protect the citizens. Now, please focus on this line. They were descendants of Swayam Vasudeva, meaning actually Swayambhuva Manu is also considered, there are many Manus, 14 Manus in a day of Brahma. So he is, this Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, is considered a Shaktiavesh avatar, almost like a plenary expansion of the Supreme Person himself, right? So very capable Manu. And his two children, immediate children, are Uttanapad and Priyavrata. It is said, purport, it is said that these two kings, Uttanapada and Priyavrata, were specifically empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unlike the great king Rishabha, who was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, right? So here mention of Rishabdev is also being mentioned. So 4.8.8. King Uttanapada had two queens named Sunidhi and Suruchi. Suruchi was more dear to the king. Sunidhi, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite. Purport. The great sage Maitreya wanted to describe the pious activities of the kings. Priyavrata was the first son of the Swayambhuva Manu and Uttanapada was the second. But the great sage Maitreya immediately began to speak of Dhruva Maharaj, the son of Uttanapada, because Maitreya was very eager to describe pious activities. The incidents in the life of Dhruva Maharaj are very attractive for devotees. For his pious actions one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. By hearing the activities of pious Dhruva, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus, one can very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. The example of Dhruva Maharaj's austerities can immediately generate a feeling of devotional service in the hearts of the hearers. Right? The example of Dhruva Maharaj's austerities can immediately generate a feeling of devotional service in the hearts of the hearers. That's what Prabhupada is telling. Right? Yeah. 4.8.9. Once upon a time, King Uttanapada was patting the son of Suruchi, Uttama, placing him on his lap. Dhruva Maharaj was also trying to get onto the king's lap, but the king did not very much welcome him. 4.8.10. While the child Dhruva Maharaj was trying to get on the lap of his father, Suruchi, his stepmother, became very envious of the child, and with great pride she began to speak so as to be heard by the king himself. The king, of course, was equally affectionate towards both his sons, Uttama and Dhruva. So he had a natural inclination to take Dhruva as well as Uttama on his lap. But because of his favoritism towards the Queen Suruchi, he could not welcome Dhruva Maharaj despite his feelings. King Uttanapada's feeling was understood by Suruchi, and therefore, with great pride, she began to speak about the king's affection for her. This is the nature of a woman. If a woman understands that her husband regards her as a favorite and is especially affectionate to her, she takes undue advantage. These symptoms are visible even in such an elevated society as the family of Swayambhu Manu. Therefore, it is concluded that the feminine nature of the woman is present everywhere. 4.8.11. Queen Suruchi told Dhruva Maharaj, "My dear son, you do not deserve to sit on the throne or on the lap of the king. Surely you are also the son of the king, but because you did not take birth from my womb, you are not qualified to sit on your father's lap." Purport. Queen Suruchi very proudly informed Dhruva Maharaj that to be the king's son one was not the qualification for sitting on the lap or throne of the king. Rather, this privilege was dependent on one's having taken birth from her womb. In other words, she indirectly informed Dhruva Maharaj that although he happened to be born of the king, he was considered an illegitimate son because of his birth from the womb of the other queen. 4.8.12. My dear child, you are unaware that you are born not of my womb, but of another woman. Therefore, you should know that your attempt is doomed to failure. You are trying to fulfill a desire which is impossible to fulfill. Purport. The small child, Dhruva Maharaj, was naturally affectionate towards his father, and he did not know that there was a distinction between his two mothers. This distinction was pointed out by Queen Suruchi, who informed him that since he was a child, he did not understand the distinction between the two queens. This is another statement of Queen Suruchi's pride. 4.8.13. If you at all desire to rise to the throne of the king, then you have to undergo severe austerities. First of all, you must satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, and then when you are favored by him because of such worship, you shall have to take your next birth from my womb. Suruchi was so envious of Dhruva Maharaj that she indirectly asked him to change his body. According to her, first of all, he had to die, then take his next body in her womb, and only then would it be possible for Dhruva Maharaj to ascend the throne of his father. Hare Krishna. 8.14. The sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, as a snake when struck, please everybody focus on these next couple of 3 verses because our discussion will be mainly based on these. My dear Vidura, as a snake when struck by a stick breathes very heavily, Dhruva Maharaj, having been struck by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. When he saw that his father was silent and did not protest, he immediately left the palace and went to his mother. 4.8.15. When Dhruva Maharaj reached his mother, his lips were trembling in anger and he was crying very grievously. Queen Sunidhi immediately lifted her son onto her lap. While the palace residents who had heard all the harsh words of Suruchi related everything in detail. Thus, Sunidhi also became greatly aggrieved. 4.8.16. This incident was unbearable to Sunidhi's patience. She began to burn as if in a forest fire. And in her grief, she became just like a burnt leaf and so lamented. As she remembered the words of her co-wife, her bright lotus-like face filled with tears, and thus she spoke. When a man is aggrieved, he feels exactly like burnt leaf in a forest fire. Sunidhi's position was like that. Although her face was beautiful as a lotus flower, it dried up because of the burning fire caused by the harsh words of her co-wife. 4.8.17. She also was breathing very heavily and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain." So I'm just repeating this first instruction of Sunidhi. Prabhuji and Mataji, please focus. Can you please repeat after me? My dear son,
My dear son,
don't wish for anything inauspicious for others.
Don't wish for anything inauspicious for others.
Anyone who inflicts pain
Anyone who inflicts pain
upon others
upon others
suffers himself
suffers himself
from that pain.
from that pain.
Right? Let us hear the next instruction she told. Sunidhi said, "My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up." 4.8.19. My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepbrother Uttama, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The harsh words used by Suruchi to her stepson were true because unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve any success in life. Man proposes, God disposes. Suniti, the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, agreed with her co-wife's advice that Dhruva engage himself in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indirectly, the words of Suruchi were a benediction for Dhruva Maharaj, for because of the influence of his stepmother's words, he became a great devotee. Hare Krishna. So 4.8.20. Sunidhi continued. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great grandfather Lord Brahma acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air, prana. Purport. Sunidhi cited the example of Lord Brahma, who was Dhruva Maharaj's great grandfather. Although Lord Brahma is also a living being, by his penance and austerity, he acquired the exalted position of creator of this universe by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. To become successful in an attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This indication had been given to Dhruva Maharaj by his stepmother and was now confirmed by his own mother, Sunidhi. 4.8.21. Sunidhi informed her son, your grandfather Swayambhava Manu executed great sacrifice with distribution of charity, and thereby with unflinching faith and devotion he worshipped and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By acting in that way, he achieved the greatest success in the material happiness and afterwards achieved liberation, which is impossible to obtain by the worship of demigods. The success the success of one's life is measured by one's material happiness in this life and liberation in the next. Such success can be achieved only by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words ekamatya means concentrating one's mind on the Lord without deviation. This process of undeviating worship of the Supreme Lord is also expressed in Bhagavad Gita as Ananya Bhak, that which is impossible to obtain from any other source, is also mentioned here. Other source refers to the worship of demigods. It is especially stressed here that the opulence of Manu was due to undeviating faithfulness in the transcendental service of the Lord. One who diverts his mind to worshipping many demigods to obtain material happiness is considered bereft of intelligence. If anyone wants even material happiness, he can worship the Supreme Lord without deviation, and persons who are desirous of liberation can also worship the Supreme Lord and achieve their goal of life. Prabhupada is so beautifully explaining. 4.8.22. My dear son, you should also take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Persons seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart and without deviating for a moment, engage always in his service. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we'll stop it here. So this is the main instruction that is given by Sunidhi to her son Dhruva, right? So there are several lessons that we all can learn from this incident. But today I wanted to just focus on the disturbed mind aspect, right? How the mind gets disturbed, when such incidents occur in our life, right? We all are going to face different kinds of incidents. Is this clearly audible? Is the audio good enough, or should I have the mic on my head? Praveen Prabhu, is this audible?
It's okay.
With mic only it is better, Prabhuji.
Better mic. Okay.
Clarity was
Thank you.
lost now.
That is your abharanam. So you cannot leave it.
But next week I'm going to pull this off. We'll not go to have this anymore. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So Prabhuji and Mataji, see here, Dhruva Maharaj, we can place ourselves in Dhruva's place and try to see what just happened, right? Sitting on father's lap is any child's desire, and it's his rightful right also, right? And he is the one who gave birth to that child, and the child, wo kahan jayega? Where else can he go? He wants to sit on his father's lap, and his very father was not very comfortable to take him on the lap. You can just imagine, what can be more difficult for a child to accept, right? See, we all depend on our parents, right? Our mother, our father. Can you imagine our mother and father rejecting us? We can't even imagine that. It's like a ground shaking thing, right? Finally, when the whole world rejects, we go and keep our head in the lap of our mother, and she will always be there for us. And we go and keep our head in the lap of our father, and he is always there for us, right? Mother and father have that great role in our life, and when they reject you, and when they don't accept you wholeheartedly, what can a child go through? It's unimaginable, isn't it? Actually, this is one of the greatest pains. Greatest pains Bhagavatam explains is death of a son for a father, and this pain is no less, is as good as death of a father for a son, right? Where the father is not there for him anymore. Equivalently painful, right? Now here, Provision Mata, you should understand why somebody is acting in a certain way. his father, Uttanapad, just imagine his immediate father was equal to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Plenary expansion. Like how good qualities you should have. If your father is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how good qualities you should have as Swayambhu Manu, as Uttanapad, as a second son. First son was Priyavrat. How good qualities you should have. And still, in spite of being in such a great lineage, the act that he did of rejecting his son or not accepting his own son to sit on his lap is so abominable, right? This you can imagine, Prabhuji and Mataji, how this material world is. Even though sometimes you're born in the greatest of the family and you are immediately under the shelter of what do you call that? Immediately under the shelter of such a great father, still you commit such a horrible act of rejecting your own son and becoming favoritism towards a wife, right? Can you tell one more incident? And here Prabhupada says that when you show favoritism towards a woman, she takes undue advantage. Can you remember one more incident in history where the wife took advantage? Kaikeyi, right? So simple. Dasharath exactly did the same thing that Uttanapad did. Uttanapad showed some extra interest in her and gave her a message that you are special for me. So did Dasharath. Dasharath Maharaj also did that. He indirectly conveyed to Kaikeyi that you are my favorite, and see what she did, right? See what she did. Of course, Kaikeyi's act led to Lord Rama's Ramayana Leela, and Suruchi's act of envy led to Dhruva Maharaj's Leela, right? So we have different. So what I'm trying to tell that when we interact with material energy, different bad things come out of us. Different bad things come out of us, and we should not be surprised with this. Are we surprised with Uttanapad behaving like this? I mean, come on, just imagine Uttanapad. He's behaving like this because material energy is so powerful. So when you see any devotee struggling or any non-devotee struggling, anybody behaving in a certain way, remember this one thing: if Uttanapad could do this, if Uttanapad could behave like this, anybody else can, isn't it? Then different people have different impressions. See, some people, when they look at a dog, they get very agitated. Chi kutta, usko paas mat aane do. It's a dirty animal. They'll not even touch it, right? But the same dog, some people even keep it on, their in baho mein laga ke, oh, mera bujji, mera bubu, pupu, like that. They'll do so much, cuddling with the dog, isn't it? The same dog, which is hated by one person, is cuddled by another person and treated like the most important family member, isn't it? So just see the difference in our reaction, one person's reaction to a certain thing as compared to another person's reaction to another thing, right? The thing is same, but how people are reacting to it. For example, even if I say ISKCON as a society, there are some people who are so sold out servants of ISKCON, like many of us here in this call, that ISKCON is the best society because you have the best gurus, you have the best devotees, you have the best environment, you have the best scriptures, you have the best practice, best process, isn't it? We have so much very good impression on ISKCON. But don't be surprised when you see some people coming and they are heavily envious and unhappy with ISKCON. They'll say, this ISKCON is filled with fanatic people. For everything they'll tell parampara. For everything they will not accept anything else. They are so so pointed on Krishna only. I don't think I like this. Or somebody will find some other faults, right? So ISKCON is still there, the same institution. ISKCON is still there, the same family of devotees. But there are some who like it, there are some who dislike it, right? So we should understand that some experience one person would have had. For example, somebody would have had one small experience, and that experience led to him concluding on the entire institution, right? He went to one temple, he was not treated properly. Some non-devotee or devotee might have mistakenly or unknowingly done something, and immediately concludes that the entire institution is useless, right? And he goes and tells 100 people that, don't go to ISKCON, those people are not good. Or they're this, or don't. In the same way, some dog would have bitten somebody, right? And or might have shouted. The dog must have barked, and immediately concluded that all dogs are like that. Right? So what I'm trying to tell is impressions that the material world gives, they come on to us. They come on to us. So when we see people, we cannot really judge them because they are influenced by the forces of this material world. We all should understand that it is possible. It is possible that somebody can be influenced by the material world. That's why Lord Krishna says that whatever is happening, you are not the only cause of it, right? And in those 6 causes that Lord Krishna says, modes of material nature is also one of them, where he says that this is also one of the reasons why you have acted the way you have, right? You are one of the cause yourself. The Supreme Lord sitting in your heart is one of the causes, right? The circumstances, the modes of material nature, all these things, the endeavor itself. So there are so many causes for one to react in a certain way, and Suruchi here reacted in that way because she got influenced by the liberty that her husband gave. If Uttanapad would not have stopped her, if Uttanapad would have just remained an ideal husband, equal to all his wives, or at least treating everybody respectfully, she would not have dared to say that thing, right? But even in her anger, she went ahead and told something very special. And what was that? Go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She didn't tell go to here, go there, or she gave the right advice, right? So Krishna spoke through her. This again shows that many things that happen in devotees' lives, Krishna is in control. So Krishna wanted Dhruva to come to him, and for that he spoke through Suruchi, who happens to be the villain of the whole story. But actually, she's no villain. She's just part of the story. Now remember this once again, because we are going to hold on to this point, that even the villain in your life is actually representing the Supreme Lord, isn't it? Suruchi, even though she is the one who insulted and really humiliated rather a small child, was representing the Supreme Lord, and Lord Krishna spoke through her, right? That come to me. I'm the one who can solve all your problems. So Provision Mataji, when he came to his mother, Sunidhi, mother also told the same thing, but she told one very important thing that we all repeated. I made you all repeat the translation there, right? Some verses back. So I'm going to ask a question to all of you. What were those things that Dhruva was carrying? What were those things? Mainly two things, okay, many things, but mainly 2 things which were not necessary for him to carry when he was going out or when he came out of that place. What were the 2 things that he was carrying?
Blessing and
Envy, Prabhu.
Humiliation and
Dhruva,
determination, Prabhu.
yeah, Dhruva was carrying. Yeah, he was carrying anger. Yes, that's right. What else was he carrying?
Envy.
He became envious because he was so mistreated, right? Yeah. Wait a second, I'll just mute all. Yeah, now you can unmute and speak only when you're speaking.
Attachment of his own son.
Attachment, Mataji, what is the attachment to?
His own son. Her own son.
Attachment
Her
to
own
his,
son.
the
Her
Uttam.
own son. Uttam.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anupriya Mataji, you were saying something?
Curse. Prabhuji, that's my daughter, Yogita. Bolo. Curse. She's saying curse. He was carrying blessing and curse.
Oh yeah, he was so angry. He was even going to curse. Oh my God, she said that.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. What else was he carrying?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, he was carrying a desire for the kingdom and vengeance towards his stepmother.
Yes, desire for kingdom and vengeance towards his stepmother, right? So this circumstance made him conclude, like we were discussing some time back, about how people conclude on a dog, whether being good or bad, or how people conclude on even ISKCON, whether being good or bad. His conclusion out of this incident led into 2 main things. One is he started desiring for something material. He wanted to get a kingdom greater than his grandfather. forget about his father, his great grandfather. So his father was Uttanapad. Uttanapad's father was Swayambhu Manu. Swayambhu Manu's father is Brahma. So he said, I want something greater than Brahma. And another thing that he was carrying, what was the other thing, Prabhuji?
Vengeance towards his stepmother.
Vengeance. Can we give another word to vengeance? Revenge.
Revenge, yeah.
Yeah, revenge, right? So he was carrying revenge for his mother, right? For his stepmother, Suruchi. And that's exactly what his mother saw. And that's why she immediately told, first instructions that she told is, hey, Dhruva, don't carry any vengeance or any revengeful feeling towards others, because that will hurt you. You know, whatever bad act that you're going to do as a result of that vengeance, it's going to hurt you. For sure, it is going to hurt you, isn't it? So, so Provision Matajis, our mind, you know, our mind, it likes to capture these things, isn't it? It likes to remember when we are insulted, when we are ridiculed, you know, when we are not recognized. All those incidents are heavily captured in the mind. Now we all are trying to chant our rounds, right? We get up in the morning, we all want to chant our rounds. How can we chant when we have so many things in our head? Huh? Our mind, just imagine what it's a carrier, right? When you really have to analyze. The mind mainly carries four things. Four things it carries. Four things include positive feelings, negative feelings, routine feelings, and waste feelings. Right? These are the four things the mind carries. So these are the impressions that we get from the material world. You know, when we go outside and start interacting with people outside, we get a positive feelings. Positive feelings. What are the positive feelings the mind can carry? It can carry, you know, compassion. It can carry seva attitude, service to others. It can carry truthfulness, right? It can carry, you know, servitude and well-wisher of everybody, right? These are all the positive things, positive feelings the mind can carry, right? And what kind of negative feelings the mind can carry? Can you all tell? What are the negative feelings the mind can carry? Envy,
Pride, revenge,
pride, right?
Anger,
Greed, anger,
frustration,
lust, right?
Anxiety, Prabhu.
What was that?
Anxiety, right.
No, I'm not able to understand. The word
anxiety,
is
Prabhu, anxiety.
anxiety. Yes, anxiety. Yeah,
frustration, Prabhu.
frustration, right? What else can it carry? Yeah, basically all negative things, right? All the anarthas that you can say, illusion, it can carry. So many things the mind carries. So there are negative thoughts the mind carries, a positive thought mind carries. Third thing that the mind carries is routine thoughts. Routine thoughts it carries. What are the routine thoughts? I should get up in the morning. I should finish my rounds. I should chant my 16 rounds. I should cook today. When a Mataji in the house, I have to cook. That's the immediate feeling she knows. Oh, my children are going to get up. My husband is going to get ready for. I have to make sure that the breakfast is ready. Lunch, what am I going to prepare? Is it all ready? You know, and husband is thinking, you know, how to help the boys to get ready to their school, or what is the next thing in the workplace that is very important that day. What are the unavoidable meetings that day? And so you have the whole routine, right? And you have to attend a class in the evening, right? Like in our case, Bhakti Shastri class. So how do I make sure I'm available during that time? So you have these routine thoughts, right? Routine thoughts. And those are thoughts that everybody has, whether you're a grahastha, brahmachari, sannyasi, everybody has those routine thoughts in their mind. Okay. Now, so you talked about positive thoughts, negative thoughts, routine thoughts. What are the fourth one? What is the fourth one I said? Waste thoughts. Waste. What is the waste thought that you can think of? Memory from the past incidents, memories, right? Sometimes some memories are good when they have taught you a lesson, but most of the other memories are a garbage, right? You know, memory that, oh, he should not have done this to me, or I should not have done that. Had I done it somewhere different, it would have been a different life altogether. I should have selected properly in my previous at that time, because of that I'm suffering now. right? I should have. So the should have, would have, could have are the wasteful thoughts. Are you all following, Prohibition Mataji? The should have, could have, would have, are all wasteful thoughts because you can't do anything about it now.
Yes, Prabhu.
It's unnecessary nonsense and garbage that we can carry, right? One fellow will think he's having trouble with his wife. I should have selected that other girl. one Mataji is having trouble with her husband. ఆ ముందు వచ్చినోడే బాగుండే అనవసరం ఏం చేసుకున్నా whatever, or then you think, I see that neighbor's that Mataji's husband, he's so nice, my idiot, this fellow is not even helping me. See, look at him, see, learn from him, like that. So you start comparison, very horrible thing to do, right? Comparing people. How can you compare? Just now I told, we were discussing that material world can affect us in so many ways that we react in so many different ways, and you start comparing. You're not supposed to compare. It's only going to lead to unnecessary problems, right? So 4 thoughts, right? So positive thoughts, negative thoughts, routine thoughts, and wasteful thoughts. So Provision Mataji, if you are carrying all 4 of these, how big your head will be? Like large, right? I mean, literally large head. Now, keeping so many things, how can you chant? Right? When you hold this chanting mala, and you say Hare Krishna, immediately waste thought will come, negative thought will come, right? Routine thought will come, positive thought will come. So many thoughts are coming. See, the problem is, one of the goals of spiritual life is to lighten the mind. Just light it down. It should be not more than 100 grams. Right now it is 100 kgs. 100 kgs is sitting on the head, right? You should make it 100 grams. So that is what intelligent people do, right? That is what intelligent immediately. So here also, so Sunidhi, what she's doing, she's telling Dhruva Maharaj indirectly that you are going to go and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but lighten your mind. Remove that revengeful attitude that you have. Remove that revengeful attitude, because the revengeful attitude that you're going to carry is going to be very difficult for you to handle. Are you all understanding, Prohibition Mataji? The more you carry, the less you can focus, right? The problem is we are carrying so many things. So many things we are carrying in our mind. And then we go there, right? So what are the 2 things to carry? What are the 2 things to let go? So positive feelings and routine feelings you should carry. No problem with that. Negative feelings and waste feelings you should remove. Waste memory you should remove. When you do this, then life is peaceful. Otherwise, you cannot really sit down and chant. People, many of us, including me, I always complain, Prabhu, I'm not able to focus, Prabhuji. My chanting is so bad. I'm not able to focus. How can you focus when you have so many unnecessary garbage in your mind, right? Yes, chanting will cleanse the mind, but you have to chant first, na? What are we chanting? We are chanting, we are thinking something of the past, and thinking something that some injustice that happened to you, right? Or some negative thought you're thinking. And when you're so preoccupied, how will Lord Hari reciprocate with you? And even if he reciprocates, will you even listen when you have so many things going on in your head? So one of the things that Dhruva Maharaj did is he removed the revenge towards his stepmother. And that was the instruction of his mother, that Dhruva, please remove that feeling of doing harm to others. That revengeful feeling, you remove that. Because if you carry that, then you are going to hurt yourself more, right? You have to remove that, and then worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because that's then she gives examples, as I've read. Then she gives examples of Swayambhu Manu, who worship the Supreme Lordhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and even Lord Brahma, who worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she's telling examples of your grandfather and great grandfather who please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But for that, they have done austerity. That also she says. They have done austerity of controlling their mind and positively, doing activity of pleasing the Supreme Lord. And then your material life and also your spiritual life will be successful, right? So, Prohibition Mataji, how do you remove the revenge feeling? Revenge feeling is very, what do you call that? Revenge feeling is very engrossing, isn't it? It's very difficult to remove. But how do you remove? Let's discuss that for a few minutes. I don't know if you have a revenge, you had a revenge feeling towards somebody in life. I definitely had. So how are you going to remove that? Can some of you open your screens? You know, I see only black boxes. So how do you, let's discuss for some time.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhu, I was listening to seeing that this documentary of Prabhupada. It's there on YouTube. And in that, there is one Prabhu, I think is not, I don't know whether he's a devotee or not, in the US. He mentioned something which is very powerful. He said, when you see the other person as someone similar to you who's suffering, right, then what kind of feeling will you get? You will not get any other feeling other than empathy. You see
Yes.
that other person as, he's similar to you, but he's suffering inside that body. All you feel is empathy.
Wonderful feeling, project. Amazing. So you have to see every individual going through certain challenges in life. Then automatically you will not carry a revengeful feeling. That's exactly what I was saying in the beginning, that we all create impressions based on our experiences. As long as we remember that somebody is acting because of such impression, we will not become angry on him, right? And if this has happened to even Uttanapad, why can't any normal individual also get into that kind of trouble, right? Even Uttanapad, being a son of Swayambhu Manu, still was doing favoritism towards his wives and mistreating a child. So what is the hope of others? People can get misguided and they can react in a very negative way because of the material world's influence, right? So my question again is, how do you remove this revengeful feeling? You experience these people in life, they mistreat you or something bad happens and you immediately get angry on this person. What is the technique or what is the best process, or what do you think? How can you come out of these revengeful feelings?
Prabhuji, one of the
Shift
things
your
is
mind
the
to
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji,
Yeah.
one
Well,
of the things,
I think everybody wants to speak. So if it's okay, if it's a good idea to lift your hand, so I'll call out the names because I'm sometimes I'm missing out. Yeah, Udayanand Prabhu, you can go ahead.
yeah. Prabhuji, one of the things is probably we can think of any good things that they've done and have gratitude feeling towards it. That could bring down the revenge. And the other thing is thinking of that as the karma, the repercussion effects of the bad karma that we've done in the past. These two I can think of, Prabhuji.
Wonderful point. So one, you said you should try to remember what that person has done to you also, right? Something good you can remember, and that immediately decreases your the velocity, the anger, energy in that anger will automatically come down. And second, you told is remembering that it's a reaction of your own karma. Yes, wonderful project. Thank you.
Participation in satsang, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Participation in satsang.
Participating in satsang.
Satsang, Prabhuji. That is the most important.
Hari bol. Yes, Mahesh Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, you should try to remember what you heard in the satsang. Is that what you're saying, Prabhuji?
Prabhuji?
No, you're saying one should participate in satsang
Yes, Prabhuji.
To come out of the revengeful feeling.
All the nonsense.
Hari bol. Amazing. Yes, Prabhuji. Correct. When you have positive association, you'll automatically, that will help you to come out of this. Yes. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. Praveen Prabhu and Pooja Mataji, you're saying?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, it could be that Krishna's plan that we want to progress in bhakti rather than we should take it to the positively, and the Krishna wants us to progress in bhakti.
Correct. Krishna wants you to progress in bhakti. Take it positively, whatever happens, and go ahead and continue your bhakti. Amazing, Prabhuji. Thank you. Sunil Prabhu, you want to say something? Sunil Prabhu, I see your hand lifted there.
Yes, Prabhuji. So I heard a lecture actually earlier of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, and it says that hurt people because we are hurt because we want to take a revenge because we are hurt, right? So we need to understand rather than this person is hurt me, we need to also understand why are they, or are they? We need to understand that they are hurt themselves and that's why they are hurting us. Okay, rather than because then only, and that's the topic of the discussion, is the hurt people. So because they are hurt themselves, and that's why they are hurting us. So it doesn't give an excuse to that they have hurt us and we can pardon them or anything. But at least when you understand that, then you will not be able to react emotionally, and you will be able to react rationally. So that is one point that I can think of. The second is when we see that that the purpose of life is going back to Godhead, right? And if we connect to that larger purpose, then these small things of taking revenge and say small things of the other things those will not be distractions, and we will be able to focus on our real purpose and higher purpose.
Yes, Haribol. So focus on the higher goal. So automatically these all things you can surpass. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yes, Siddhi Mataji, you wanted to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we can approach our seniors or spiritual masters to clear up our mind, like Guhyam Akhyati Puchati, as it is said in the instruction.
Wonderful. Yes. Approach and take guidance. When you have the revengeful attitude, you better go and talk it out and take guidance. And that's exactly what we are all doing now by reading Bhagavatam. This is approaching seniors only, right? Approaching Prabhupada's purports, approaching our Guru Parampara, trying to learn how we can come out of the revengeful feelings. Yes. Satyadev Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, just 2 points I want to mention. One is the contentment. Like you should be contempt of that maybe this is what it is for us. And another thing is to not to have revengeful attitude. One is we should always think that whatever actions that are being done on us is not by somebody else. It's actually our own reactions. The other person, whoever is a mere witness. So they are just a witness, but for whatever the deeds or whatever the actions that we are going through, and so we should not blame them for that. So if you have that attitude, that means you will not blame, oh, because of him, I got this situation. So the situations which we are going through is mere our reciprocations of our actions only.
Yes, very good point. Very, very good point. Yeah. So what we are getting is a reaction of what we only did, right? And we should better accept that rather than making a big deal out of it. I mean, but remembering that and accepting is a great act of yoga, right? That you should remember that this is happening only because of what I did in the past. Yes, Vivek Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah. So I echo what Udayanand Prabhuji and Satyadev Prabhuji has said. So this is all caused by the prarabdha, right? The karma we have done. So I would like to mention, right, one of the chaupai of Ramcharitmanas, right? Kahu na ko sukh dukh data nijkrit karma bhog sabr bhrata. So it's on our own karmas, whatever we have done in the past, and that is how, right, people are reacting differently to us, right? So it's all due to prarabdha.
Wonderful. Thank you, Broji, for reciting such nice from Ramcharitmanas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Saraswati Mata, you wanted to say something?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, it's already everybody has told Prabhuji. It's because of our karma. We are because there is so much of anarthas inside us, Prabhuji. That's why we are taking revenge on other people. So we need to clear our anarthas first, and we need to, adi silent ga odileyal, Prabhuji. So that the karma ni progress cheyakunda, if we silent ga odileste adi karma kuda tiripotundi, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so true. Thank you. So Prajan Mataji, I think one of the very common answer that most of you have given is actually what is happening indirectly. I am responsible some or the other way, right? Whatever is coming onto me, it is part of my karma, right? And that's a very profound answer. I'm telling you, if we all remember this one answer throughout our life in every circumstance, we'll be the most peaceful people. But problem is, this is the only answer we forget, right? We immediately start acting on the opposite person, thinking I don't deserve this to happen. Have you heard this word anytime? I don't deserve this to happen. I don't deserve to go through this, right? Most of the divorces happen today because of this one statement where a wife or husband says, I don't deserve to go through this. I deserve something better, right? And you are not treating me the way I'm supposed to be treated. But what we discussed as bunch of devotees here in this call is maybe my past karma is giving me this, right? So see, past karma acts sometimes immediately, sometimes within the same life you get the reaction. Sometimes last life's reaction also comes, right? We discussed on the laws of karma elaborately in SSR, like almost 3 hours plus 3 hours, 6 hours we discussed that karma comes back to us in different ways. See, it can happen that you have done so many bad things in this life that Krishna also is calculating, okay, I'll give this, I'll give this, I'll give this, I'll give this. And in between, suddenly death comes. In between, suddenly death comes. Because death has already a time, right? Death already is fixed as soon as you've taken birth. So in between, death comes. And what happens? The flush out of this life goes into the next life, right? I mean, it's inevitable that you will get reactions from your past life. There is no discussion on that. It will happen. It will happen. And people, when they react to this, when they react to this, are the most unintelligent people. Intelligent people are the people who are practicing spirituality, are the people who don't react unnecessarily. See, how many of you have bitten your tongue sometime in your life? Huh? So who has bitten your tongue? Huh? Our own teeth, right? Our own teeth has bitten the tongue. So what did you do immediately after that? Did you take a hammer and break the teeth? No. Immediately the first feeling that I tell to, whenever it happens to me is like, Bob, next time be careful. I talk to my teeth also, next time be careful. Don't bite. This is too much to take. You can't shout at anybody, right? When you bite your tongue, you can't shout at anybody. You have to just speak to your own teeth, saying that your jaws and and your tongue also, that be careful when you're supplying food here and there. You just can't go and settle down somewhere. There is an engine working. So something you satisfy yourself. If you can apply the same principle of biting tongue and reacting to whenever anything bad happens to you in life, right? Accepting that as my own reaction coming back to me, it's easy. But there is one more thing, Prabhupada and Matajis, that I recently heard from a sadhu. Beautiful thing he told about how to deal with revenge, right? How to deal with revenge. He told, please, everybody hear this attentively. This next 2 sentences that I'm going to say, and you can try to apply. He said, are you the person qualified to act on that revenge? Right? Are you the person qualified to act on that revenge? Is the question, that you have to ask yourself. And that is like a heavy act on the mind. Mind will immediately shut down if you just think about this one thing. Are you the person qualified to act on that revenge? Meaning, okay, this person did bad to me. Do I need to act on it and correct him? Am I the person who is supposed to do that? Or is that my business? Is that my business to do that? Right? It's a very important thing, because see, often what we do, if you only introspect, sincerely introspect, whenever somebody told anything bad to you, you immediately want to tell equivalently or more bad to him so that he suffers. You want to see him suffer for his act right in front of you. You see that right outside? You want to make sure that the justice is completely given by you at the same time. Isn't it? 2 things are happening here. By you. You have to give the justice, not that somebody else gives it. And second, right there. It has to be given right there. Right? When 2 people fight on the road, for bumping into each other, car and auto or whatever, they want to make sure that the justice is completed there. Right? That fellow feels regretful of what he has done. And you want to make sure that you get that reciprocation, or you get that confidence that the opposite party is regretting and he is completely, apologetic towards you before you leave. Before you leave that place, I want to make sure that I have completed my task. What is your task? To execute your revenge for something, some injustice that has happened to you. Isn't it? So when something bad happens, you want to immediately execute it. The opposite person has to say, I'm sorry, sir, I'm sorry, sir. Sir. Okay, ఇప్పుడు బాగున్నావు. ఇప్పుడు బాగున్నావు. Right? I should make sure the opposite person falls on his feet and knees and say, I'm sorry, sir. Then you will walk out. For that to happen, you will go to any extent. You will take him to police station, you will beat him up, or you will shout at him. It can also happen inside the same house, right? Husband told something provoking, whatever happened, in his office or day life, he just couldn't answer properly and he told something, and the wife gets to know, నన్ను ఈ మాట అంటావా, అసలు నువ్వు ఏమనుకుంటున్నావు నీ గురించి, నువ్వు ఎందుకు ఇట్లా మాట్లాడావు, నీకు తెలుసా నేను ఏం చేశాను, నువ్వేం చేశావు, అంటిల్ దట్ ఫెలో ఫాల్స్ అని. తప్పైపోయింది, వదిలే, ఏదో కోపం వచ్చి మాట అనేసాను, తప్పైపోయింది. ఇప్పుడు బాగున్నావు. ఇప్పుడు బాగున్నావు. until you fulfill the correction of the revenge, you will not be satisfied. Meaning, this also means how much you have faith on the Supreme Lord. See, when children are fighting with toys, right? You have two children and you've given toys to both of them, and one child is playing with one toy, one child is playing with another toy, favorite toys, and suddenly one child throws his toy and goes and snatches the toy from the other child. What will you do as a parent, Prabhuji and Mataji? What will you do as a parent? You will immediately, tell the other child, don't do that. You play with your toy. Why are you snatching the toys? Is that true? You will do that. Naturally, you'll do that. So why don't you have the faith? That the business of correction will be done by the God? Why don't you have that faith? Why don't we have that faith? That why I have to execute the revenge? If we just say to ourselves that, okay, Krishna, you are there. If this person has done something bad to me, let you only correct him. Right? If we have true faith in God, we'll immediately, say that, okay, Krishna, I experienced this bad. So whatever correction you want to do to the opposite person, you go ahead and do it. I'll move on. Because I want to focus on my bhakti. I don't want to make this as my goal of life. That I want to execute my revenge on this person. Law of karma is there. And law of karma will anyway act on everybody. And you are the parent of both of us. So you are going to execute that, right? So let me leave it there. Let me not execute a revenge. See, there is a difference here. Executing revenge is one thing, and performing your responsibility. For example, your child does something wrong. You can't tell this principal there. You have to still instruct your child because you are playing the role of a father. But in circumstances where you are not the person who is in charge of that opposite person, you are not in charge of that opposite person, and that opposite person that does something wrong, you don't have to correct that person there. You don't have to. You can just move on. It's better for you to move on, keeping faith in Krishna, that person will be corrected when the right time comes. Of course, move on doesn't mean that if something happened, okay, sir, he'll go. No, I mean, say, don't make it don't create a situation there which you cannot control beyond a point where you want to make sure that he gets his punishment for what he has done, and then you leave. Right? You can do some part of it, but doesn't have to be like to the extent your mind is satisfied that you punish that person. Right? Yeah. Who just spoke in between? Somebody was speaking.
Prabhuji, it was me, Prabhuji.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, sometimes when something happens to us or somebody says something to us, we can move on. But if they hurt somebody we love, right? That time it sort of complicates the whole thing.
Yes.
It's hard to move on, but that's what the right thing is. But it is very difficult, Prabhuji. We have
very
to first,
difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. What we are discussing here, Mataji and Prabhuji, is if we execute it in our life, even one time in a month, our chanting will improve. I can tell you that. Our sadhana will improve like anything. If we execute it even once in a month, remember that Supreme Lord, that He is there to take care of things. You don't have to be the police of this whole, of this whole planet. You don't have to be that punishing authority to everybody whom you encounter on the road, outside, your own colleague. Even in satsang, if some devotee has done something wrong, just leave the matter there. Don't have to gossip, don't have to discuss, don't have to execute and make sure that he got it. We have that false ego. If please try to introspect. We all have that false ego to make sure that I have made the action correct. Mine was the last word. Mine was the last sentence, right? In that whole matter of discussion. I have made sure that the justice is given. Idanti enti ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate gade. Krishna is saying, Prakriti kriyamanani, gune karmani sarvaj. This Prakriti with gunas is doing everything. But ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. I am the one who has to get it happen. How many things will you make it happen? Tell me. How many revenges will you take? And if you're and then you feel that I've done the right thing. See, the false ego will also make you feel that I've done the right thing. No, I have done the right thing. He deserved to be punished. I punish that fellow. False ego will say like that. And actually, you will even back it up with some spiritual slokas also. If you are a devotee, you'll also back it up. Krishna also told, do the war, pick up the dhanush, pick up the gandiva. He telling, right? What nonsense, Pardoning is good. Yes, Prabhu, forgiveness is a great principle, but he deserves what he has done. He deserves this. And we should make sure, if we don't do, who will do? If we don't do, who will do? Right? And he eventually, see, basically, Prabhuji and Mataji is a spiritual person, a saint, is supposed to be very focused on his sadhana and his goal of life, which is Krishna Prema. And if he gets into these tussles of being the judge and Supreme Court judge of everybody who does anything wrong to him and executes that whole act of revenge, thinking that I am the right person to punish that person, then how his spiritual life will go forward? How we will have time to chant? We'll have more time to complain only. We'll have more time to shout only. When I'm chanting Hare Krishna, I'll be remembering my college friend who humiliated me in front of the class. How will I chant? How many times will I remember him? Right? Or some problem that happened, just yesterday. I'm going to remember that again and again and I want to revenge. And a lot of people in their mind also execute the revenge, like a movie Ram Gopal Verma story, like screenplay 30. I've beaten that fellow that fallen on the road. Manchigundi. He executes that revenge 20 times before he acts on it. Right? Mind is a carrier of that feelings of revenge, and that's what it likes. But Sunidhi, beautifully, first instruction that she gave to Dhruva is, don't wish for harm to others. Next is next. First, remove that revenge. Because if you carry that revenge, you cannot do anything. And by the way, the fundamental question, is, are you the qualified person to execute that punishment? And do you have that business? Do you have the time to execute that punishment? Or just walk out of there, thinking, accepting. And why you are not able to walk out of there is because you don't have faith in Krishna. That's the fundamental problem. We don't have faith in Krishna. If we have faith in Krishna, why will we create such a big scene out of everything? Isn't it? Krishna do not choose kuntradu. Not that inside your mind you're saying, Krishna chusko, mancha chusko ani, mancha chusko, and then you work. No, you don't have to even think like that. Just move on with your life. Like beautifully, most of you told that it's part of my past karma. It's coming back to me. I chewed my own tongue. The pain is mine. Right? And also that, Krishna will take care. Why do I have to make sure? That's actually false ego, Prabhuji. Sometimes when we even get the same thing can reflect in other places also. Like revenge is one aspect. Other thing is when you're preaching and somebody comes to your satsang, You want him to become a devotee in your satsang only. That fellow has to lift his hands and chant Hare Krishna, cry in front of you, then mission accomplished. If he is not chanting 16 rounds, mission is gone. He must be chanting 14 rounds, but you're not happy. Huh? Padar chant cheyakapothe? You have to chant 16, then only you are spared. Then only my mission is accomplished, isn't it? I want to make sure that you become an ecstatic devotee of ISKCON within 2 or 3 satsangs, not more than that. Because I am convinced this is the best philosophy you have to accept. So false ego, the same false ego that you're carrying when you have revengeful feeling towards somebody, you're also carrying when you're executing any devotional service also. In the name of devotion, you will humiliate the opposite person. Somebody is struggling with multiple faiths, right? He's following some devata, some baba, some amma, and also Krishna. You want to make sure that that person comes out of everything right in front of you, right in front. That is false ego. That is false ego. Nothing but, I am the executor. Of course, as a preacher, should you try that? Yes, but do your part and leave the remaining. Inspire people more and leave the remaining. They will one day come, or one life they will come. Who knows? This life they may not come. Next life they'll come. Same way, even revenge also. If we next time when we get into such kind of tussle anywhere, and you remember today's class and the instruction of Sunidhi to her son, that don't carry that revengeful feeling. Just leave it there and go on, move on. Leave it there because God is there. Krishna is there. He'll take care. And that's exactly what saintly people do, Prabhuji and Mataji. If you really now meditate and see saintly people, even though so much blasphemy is going on against them, they just leave it aside. Just imagine as senior Prabhuji as Radhesham Prabhu goes to a place and we all worship him for kind of sadhu is, or Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, or Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, or Radhanath Maharaj, or Loknath Swami Maharaj, great sannyasis. Even they are insulted. Can you imagine? They are worshipable to us, but they are also insulted. And you know how they are insulted? They are told that you are a burden on society, you are a parasite. You sadhus are parasites on the society. These are the words that are used. What do? Immediately, as soon as they hear those words, what do these sadhus do? Do they immediately pull a seat and give a Bhagavatam class to that fellow? Huh? Do they immediately, want to make sure that he's corrected, that he's not? No, they don't. They just walk. They just walk. Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. They walk. Because they know that Krishna is there. Krishna is there. And in fact, sadhus are so great that they pray to Krishna and tell, don't punish that person. Because he doesn't know what he's done. He doesn't know what he has done. That's okay, Krishna. I'm not hurt. I'm not hurt. Because see, Krishna is sitting in the heart. And when you're hurt, your heart is hurt, and immediately Krishna can see your heart and immediately act on that person. So the sadhu, before he becomes hurt, walks out of that place. Because he knows that if I am hurt, Krishna will act on that person. Paradukka dukhi sadhu. He cannot see anybody suffering. So he'll walk out of that place. And he doesn't want to carry any revengeful feeling. He does not want to carry any revengeful feeling. He just leaves it there. And he just says, okay, Krishna, thank you. I deserve what I got. I'm the one who is the cause of this. That person who executed it is only your representative. I got my lesson. Thank you very much. And he walks out of there. Right? And sometimes Krishna is confused that I want to punish this fellow and this person is stopping me. Right? God is in anxiety to execute the punishment. The devotee is like, no need. Right? And this is one of the greatest instruction of Sunidhi that we can apply in our life, that you can control your mind. Now I'm going to ask, Satyadev Prabhu, you want to ask something or say something?
Yeah, Prabhuji, one question here. Generally, this revengeful attitude it also depends on the degree of insult. Like, so for example, you know, you are, I mean, let's say I got insulted by my fellow colleague in front of the same peers, but at the same time, if the same insult is inflicted upon me by in front of my boss, then I'll have more revengeful feeling at that time. So is how to sustain that same, like, okay, how to be calm in all types of, even the degrees from 0 to 100%, how to remain calm, Prabhuji? That's what I want.
So Prabhuji, remaining calm is not possible. I'm not saying we should remain calm, right? It is not about, okay, you're like, you know, you're totally insulted and you just walk from there, you know, especially in a situation that you told in the office, something like that happened. You don't have to remain calm, but you can always say something wise before you leave. Something wise you can say, you know, that let's not carry this too much. It is not going to help you and me, and just leave from there. Don't execute the revenge is what I'm saying. Don't execute the punishment on that person right there, and make sure that the person is regretful and he completely submits to you, saying what I've done is wrong, or making sure that you are right, making sure that you are right, and making sure that the opposite person agrees that you are right. You don't have to execute that whole thing there. You can walk out of there wisely by saying something, right? Actually, by doing so, you will become more respectable in the entire community. In entire office, you'll be very respectful by how you handled such a provoking situation. But it's not easy, Prabhu. It's not easy. What you told, everybody is going to go through. In fact, all of us will be tested after this Bhagavatam class. Immediately after the Bhagavatam class. How are you going to react to that? How are you going to execute that? See, two things. Are you in charge of that person? Is that person dependent on you? Are you the person who is responsible for his growth and his? Then you have to react, because you are in charge. A teacher has to punish the student because she's in charge, right? But any person here and there who is causing, he's not dependent on you. He's an independent person. Can be even your brother or your, you know, relative or your friend or a neighbor or colleague or anybody. They're not dependent on you. You're not in charge. Then why do you think you are qualified to punish him for what he has done? Let Krishna punish, or whatever. He is also going through circumstantial problems mentally, so he will receive his punishment at some time. Okay, now my next question to you all next question to all of you is,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
for you to,
Prabhuji, only one thing I want to say.
Padmamata, yes, Hare Krishna.
It's when the circumstance comes at that point, even Durvasa Muni got angry. He was a great sage. He knew everything, karma, everything he knew, but he reacted. That means that the ego, we should not be egoistic. That should be nil, 0%, and we should have patience. Then we can think, oh, something is wrong, or we are wronger. Even when our higher ups, we all have faced it.
Yes.
Even if we are not wrong, he says something and goes off. That CEO or MD comes, he tells, oh, you have done this, this is wrong, and he goes off. But we cannot speak even a single word at that time. So many people are there in front of that. But so many things that agitation will be there. But we have to think, only when we are non-egoistic, we can do everything.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yes. That's exactly we were discussing, Mataji. Thank you, Padma Mataji. You told non-egoistic means ahankara. That should not be there. If ahankara is there, you will react. See, ahankara, what does it do? It makes you satisfied by executing that revenge. You want to execute that revenge, and then only you are satisfied. That means you are filled with ego, right? If you are letting go, if you are able to let go that feeling of revenge there and leave it on the Supreme Lord to take care, then that means ahankara is not there anymore. Ego is not there anymore. You are recognizing yourself as the soul, part of the Supreme. What of this world, Prabhuji? If you really think, is there anything in this world which should actually affect you? Nothing. Nothing of this world should affect you, because you are temporarily situated here in this temporary body, and everything that is happening is related to the body, not related to you. That's the highest feeling. See, the most important thing is faith on Krishna. Do we all have faith on Krishna? Right? If we have faith on Krishna, then we don't have to worry about so many things in life. Krishna will take care. Krishna will take care. Of course, then Krishna gives us some responsibilities like our children, wife, husband, family, dependents. There we have to make sure that we are doing our part. There also we depend on Krishna, but Krishna also expects us to perform that role properly. Like Krishna wanted Dhritarashtra to perform the role of a father properly. He instructed Dhritarashtra so many times that you should not make your son think that he will be the king. But still, he did it. Right? But you have to, Krishna also expects when he gives some responsibility to us, like so many times Srila Prabhupada says, the children that we have are gifts of Krishna. We have to train them to Krishna consciousness. So that's a responsibility. That is our responsibility. And in order to execute the responsibility, we will do our best. Sometimes we also have to punish our children for some of the things, but it should not become a revengeful punishment. Of course, parent will never do a revengeful punishment to a child, but the tendency should not be that I am the person, ultimately it has to happen because of my act only. Because of my actions on my child only, he should completely come into correction. No, you do your part and then pray to Krishna. And when Swayambhu Manu's son, Uttanapad, could not understand the right principle of devotion, the right principle of a father, what can we expect our children, Matajis? I am not Swayambhu Manu. So definitely my son is not, a devotee. They are also struggling. They will have their own struggle in life, right? Like we accepted devotion at certain point of time in our life. They will also accept devotion at a certain point. All I can do to my children is leave some positive impressions of bhakti. Some positive impressions of bhakti, so that when they walk out of the house and they go outside, they will get polluted by the material world, but they will remember these positive impressions and then come back to satsang. That's all I can do. Philosophy will not work. No matter what you do, they will go through their own test. So when they are going through the test, they are getting attracted to material world's allurements. Will you, as their father, punish them or understand and leave it to God? What do you think you will do? Understand and leave it to God, right? Yes, I also went through a teenage. I also went through these allurements. I also understand why he's behaving like that. So let him take his time. Krishna, please help him. Please help him. Help
Hare
her.
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Yeah, Padma Mataji.
Prabhuji, yes, what you are saying is convincing, but when a person insults in person, like directly, if someone insults me directly, so I can leave it to Krishna. Krishna, please, you take care. So I'm not going to be involved in this. Please take care. But what if some person insults our dharma or the culture? Dharma.
Dharma and culture, yes.
So in the same, if even in this situation, should I leave to Krishna? Krishna, please take care. So you are responsible for this. So, or should I give any action?
No, I'll ask a question. By you reacting to him, will he become a devotee?
No, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's okay. We should remember that. But so how much I should react is dependent on that answer itself. We have to react, but we don't have to react to a point that, you are convinced that he is understood.
Yeah, and making him understand is never possible, Prabhuji.
It's not possible for us. It can be our father also, or mother also. You can't make them completely understand. You can just tell something and leave from there. You can tell whatever that person is in a situation to hear, or at least leave a positive impression about yourself. He should not feel that you are a fanatic and he'll never come to you for advice again. Right? Leave that situation that way. Sometimes I'll tell you, sometimes when people speak wrong about ISKCON, I have faced this many times. Not many times, sometimes I've faced. All I told is, see, Prabhu, ISKCON has done a lot of good to me. I don't know why it did not work out for you. I'll pray that someday, you will come across a devotee who will treat you better. And the situation that you've happened to go through doesn't repeat again. So I'll leave it there. That person will continue. But I'll just walk out of there. I've done my part. I'm leaving a positive impression there so that he can come to me again. Whereas if I make sure that I shout at him, or I taunt him, or I completely, expose him, feeling that he is no other go, then he will never come to me again. I might prove my point. I might win the battle but lose the war. Right? That battle I'll win, but eventually the war is lost, because that fellow will never come to me and never go to any devotee. Right? So when somebody is speaking about dharma, when somebody is speaking about a nation, there is a level of correction that you can do, but you don't have to do it to a point that you are satisfied that you have done. Your mind is satisfied, because mind will never be satisfied until the false ego is happy. Just walk out of there.
Yes, Prabhu. Yesterday also I was watching some video. Actually, I was watching this Chinajaya Swami's event live there. So the next below continuation video on YouTube is Chinajaya Swami is cheating innocent people by constructing this huge statue.
See, people are envious. They're not seeing anything good about it. That is there. This whole world is filled with that. So many leaders do so many good things. They want to only find what is a bad thing they did, and then want to blow it out of proportion, discourage. So what do you think will be Chinajaya Swami's reaction when he sees this video in YouTube? The video that you mentioned. He'll ignore it. He'll simply ignore it. I have more people to take care of. Why should I spend my quality time with this? In the morning, there is this in Srirangam, there is this elephant that goes to the temple for Mangalarti. Right? The elephant takes bath, and it's completely cleaned, and nicely it goes out to Mangalarti. Right? And then it sees on the way a pig coming out of gutter and shouting at that elephant, "You elephant, you eat so much. Why you're a burden on this world, and now you're going to temple also. What good you have to go to temple?" Is whatever the pig is speaking. What should that elephant do? The elephant should just walk or kick that pig. Elephant can kick the pig. It will be outside Srirangam. Right? But elephant will think, just now I took bath. I'm completely clean. I'm going to the Supreme Lord. This fellow is coming out of gutter. Even if I kick him, forget about where he'll fall. That filth on his body will touch my feet. And again I have to go and take bath. It's better I just walk. Right? Sadhus are very intelligent to walk away. Walking away is not an ordinary thing to do. And that is why Supreme Lord is also worshipped as Ranchod Rai. He walked away from even a war. Only Supreme Lord can teach us with these acts that sometimes you can win the war by just walking away from it. You can just win the war. Just walk away from it. Right? So every war doesn't have to end in the way people see it. By just walking away, you already won the war. Right? So now my next question. Oh, sorry, Vivek Prabhu, you want to say something?
No, Prabhuji, yes. I think you answered that, but I'm just clarifying it.
Yeah.
So we use the term, right, self-respect, right? Because a lot of things we react that we created our own, hey, this is how I should be treated, right? And if that treatment is not happening, then basically that behavior comes, right? So shall we say, right, shall we discriminate self-respect with false ego? Are these two same terms? Or do we need to discriminate that there is a difference?
No, sorry, Prabhu. It was a little heavy on me. I couldn't understand. Can you reframe the question, Prabhu, once?
Yeah. So, Prabhuji, right, because we use term self-respect, and that is how we react. And that, hey, this is how I should be treated. And if the treatment is not there, and we say, hey, that is hurt, right? That our ego is hurt. And that's where we react. And when we use some false ego, is it same as self-respect, or these are two different terms and we should discriminate between these two? That is my question, Prabhuji.
Oh, wonderful. Is false ego same as self-respect? No, it is not same, Prabhuji. False ego makes you feel that you should be respected even when you're not deserving it, or you have to be respected at all times. That is false ego. That you are right. I am the doer. I am the doer. I should be recognize that I am the doer. That is false ego. Self-respect is what do you call it? what you recognize with, what you relate to, that is your self-respect, right? Basically, I am part of Krishna is your self-respect. That is true ego. I am part of Krishna. I am the soul, pure part of Krishna. That is self-respect. And we should maintain that self-respect. Self-respect is completely something internal, which should not get affected by anything external. Should not get affected. I still can carry my self-respect. It will get affected only when you do something wrong. Then your self-respect is affected. That, oh, I should not have done like this. Why did I do like that? That is self-respect. But false ego is something completely, your reaction to the opposite people when they do something wrong to you, right? So two different aspects, Prabhuji. We should carry our self-respect. In fact, without carrying self-respect, you cannot perform devotion also. Self-respect, meaning you are respecting for what you are doing. That is self-respect. You are respecting for what you're doing, what you're relating to.
Yeah. So somehow self-respect is, it should basically create it from the true ego, not from the false ego, right?
Self-respect is true ego. True ego is self-respect. See, I am part of Krishna is self-respect. I am not part of Krishna is false ego. Yeah. So, Prabhuji, I know it's already 9 o'clock, but I wanted to ask one question to all of you. We have come to a point we said that we have to avoid revenge, right? We come to that point. Now, my question is, how can you do that? And we discussed that, you are not the authority to execute the revenge. Say that to yourself, and that will help you, right? But for that, you need willpower, isn't it? You need willpower. Without willpower, we cannot say that. Without willpower, you can't say that. Now, my question to all of you, as a conclusion to today's discussion from Dhruv Maharaj, is how do you get that willpower? How do you get that willpower? Right? How do you get willpower to execute such a difficult task of avoiding the revengeful feeling?
Having faith on Krishna.
Yes, having faith on Krishna. Wonderful. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Having strong
convinced with the philosophy, right? Whatever is written in the scriptures, right? We should be 100% convinced and then act accordingly.
Yes. When you get good knowledge through scriptures, convincing knowledge, then that will give you willpower. Yes. Thank you. Anybody else?
With the help of spiritual master, Prabhuji.
With the help of spiritual master, go and approach a guru, and he'll help you with the willpower. Yes.
I always remember one thing you said, Prabhuji. In order to know who is your father, you have to go and ask your mother. So similarly, so I use that example so much in my life. Somehow that touched me. So trust a person whom you feel, yes, he can bring you out of this pool, and follow his instructions.
Yes, we are all trying to follow Srila Prabhupada and the Bhagavatam that he has given.
Right.
Subara Prabhu.
Yeah, right, Prabhu. I was also about to just give that reference to Bhagavatam only because it has hundreds of stories where you see this forgiveness, and more than forgiveness, trying to understand the other's point of view. Everywhere we see how Prabhupada, in Bhagavatam it is mentioned, the other person's mistakes are made out of their connection with Triguna and not because of their anger towards you.
Wonderful.
Such realization makes you understand, separates you from the problem itself, basically.
Yes, Haribol, very nice project. Thank you, bro. Profound.
Prabhuji, so nicely explained, Subara Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Because thank you so much, Prabhuji. Such a amazing explanation. We need to have courtesy on the other side of the people, Prabhuji. Because if we take revenge, and మనం రివెంజ్ ని తీసుకున్న తర్వాత వాళ్ళ పొజిషన్ ఏంటి అనేది కూడా we should think of, Prabhuji.
Yes.
We should think of what the other side వాళ్ళు ఎంత సఫర్ అవుతారు, and after you took the revenge, if they suffer and the sufferer is also the person is you, so we need to
see Prabhuji, people come to our society, ISKCON society, to take shelter. They come to take shelter. They actually are taking shelter. We are all taking shelter of this society, isn't it? Our satsang group is a place where you all take shelter. When we are in trouble, we come here, we listen, we discuss, and we kind of get the solutions, to deal with our problems. And you have done a mistake, and somebody make sure that you're out of this society. He creates the revenge, he executes in such a way that you're out of this society. Then tell me, where will that person go for shelter? Your revenge will put somebody in a place where he is completely helpless now. He's doomed. Do you want to execute your revenge to such a point that the person is dead? Is that what you want to achieve? No, don't have to be. It doesn't have to be like that, right? You cannot treat people so badly that they are completely destroyed just because you want to prove your point. Even if you're right, right? But still, that doesn't give you a right to execute the point to that extent, right? So coming back to concluding today's lecture, Prabhuji, today's discussion is how do you get that willpower? Basically by two things, Prabhuji, Mataji. You get that willpower through practice. Second is chanting. When we sincerely chant, Krishna will give us that willpower. Krishna will give us the willpower to face situations and act according to the situation. Krishna will give that willpower, and Krishna will give that willpower when you chant properly. When we do our rounds with devotion and with crying to Krishna that please help me. There should be a cry in that chanting. I'm telling this to myself that we should cry. Every mantra should be a prayer of crying that Krishna, please come and help me. Please come. I'm suffering here, Krishna. I'm suffering here. I cannot help myself, Krishna. You have to come and help me. Krishna, there is nobody who can help me. You have to please, don't forget me, Krishna. Please come and do X. Forgive me for whatever nonsense I've done, Krishna. You are the only one who can forgive also. Please come and help me. With that feeling when you chant, Krishna will give you the willpower. So chanting is a solution ultimately. Chanting is a solution to perfectly chant, and perfectly chanting is a solution to chant. Right? The whole circle comes back there. We started the discussion, how can I chant properly? By removing unnecessary garbage from the mind. Right? Negative thoughts and waste thoughts you should remove, positive thoughts and routine thoughts you should keep. Revengeful attitudes you should remove from your mind. But revengeful attitude will be removed only when you have faith in Krishna that he will take care ultimately, and you have faith in Krishna, and you also should tell yourself that I'm not the person who is supposed to execute this punishment. Krishna will take care. He's there. I don't have the responsibility to do that. My responsibility is to practice my devotion and go back home back to God. That is my responsibility. I don't have to execute beyond that. Right? So chanting is very, very important. And one more thing is, second thing is practice. Prabhuji, we practice our willpower in creating more disturbance most of the time than practicing our willpower to remove the disturbance. Right? It's very easy to execute willpower to get more disturbed. Like you open a YouTube, and then you execute your willpower to get disturbed by browsing. To whatever YouTube is showing, you are browsing. These days you have that short videos, right? That 14-second, 20-second videos. People are just moving their thumb as if whatever comes next, I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to see whatever comes next. You are not even choosing. YouTube through some algorithm is choosing what you are supposed to see. So our willpower we are executing to face more disturbance or get more disturbed. But the same willpower we have to practice to come out of the disturbance also. We have to put that into practice. Practice it again and again. Whenever we encounter such provoking situations, how many times I could execute this principle of Bhagavatam that I just discussed, the instruction of Sunidhi, how many times I can execute it, that you have to practice. It doesn't happen in one go. Don't think that you've finished this Bhagavatam class, we have finished the Bhagavatam class, and we're all walking out as sadhus. Now come and attack me, I'll not react to you. That will not happen. That will not happen. Sometimes it takes lifetimes, to get to a right situation. And Krishna will test you. Don't worry. As soon as you finish the lesson, you'll get a test. Like we are finishing Bhakti Shastri, one chapter, one unit, you are getting a test. Closed book exam, open book exam. Life also will give us both closed book exam, open book exam, right? When we are with devotees, when we are not with devotees. Both the times you'll be tested, Prabhuji and Mataji. Both the times. Don't think in between devotees, you are behaving like a devotee and you're a devotee. And then you go outside, in outside circles, and you start using filthy language. You start behaving like a materialist. You start executing all nonsense there. What is that? You'll be tested. We'll be tested. In all circumstances, the one who remains a devotee will go back home back to Krishna. In all circumstances. Trinadapi sunichena, tararopi sahishnuna, amananiya manadena, kirtane sadhari. Kirtane sadhari not everywhere, not just when you're chanting. Everywhere. I have seen people, devotees, sometimes they use the F word, they use the bad, filthy language when suddenly they are speaking to non-devotees, or suddenly they are with their friends. And then you come into devotee clothes, wear a khandava like this, and then Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Prabhu. What nonsense you're doing? Don't you know what you're doing is wrong? We are tested. And okay, that can happen. I'm saying that can happen because we are carrying impressions of so many lives. But patience, practice the willpower. Say to yourself that I will not do this. I will not do this. Okay, I did it. I will not do that. I'll did it. I'll not do that. Your ahankara should be broken down until you finally execute and chant properly. Chanting is the answer for everything. Good chanting will remove unnecessary thoughts from your mind, will give you the power to remove unnecessary thoughts from your mind. Let me put it like that. Right? Good chanting will give you the power to remove the unnecessary thoughts from your mind. But unnecessary thoughts have to be removed to chant properly. So it's a cycle. It's a cycle of struggle that you are removing unnecessary thoughts and you're trying to chant properly. And when you're endeavoring to chant properly, Krishna will reciprocate to you by removing those thoughts. Right? So for Dhruva Maharaj to ultimately go and do the tapasya as a 5-year-old boy to call Lord Narayan to appear, he had to remove that revengeful attitude before he went there. For Arjuna to perform the war on Kurukshetra, he had to hear the Bhagavad Gita and remove the revengeful feeling before he shot the first arrow. Krishna made sure that Arjuna was not shooting even a single arrow with revengeful feeling before he started the war. Of course, Abhimanyu's death, he got angry. He did want to take revenge. But ultimately, Krishna made him understand that his revenge cannot be executed unless his mercy is there. Isn't it? Even though he again came into the revenge, ultimately Krishna had to do the cloud thing by making it dark and removing it for him to ultimately execute it. So without God's mercy, we cannot do anything. So Krishna wants us to focus on our Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji and Matajis. Everything else that happened in your life or is happening in your life or will happen in your life, don't make that your first business. Let things happen. You execute your devotional service. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for giving your time and tolerating me this discussion. I hope it was useful. I hope you will not execute your revenge on me. That was the whole purpose I did it. So thank you very much. Any thoughts, final words and comments?
Can I add two words, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, please, Hare Krishna.
So Prabhu, so this whole story, Dhruva, he has that thing to take revenge, right? And then he got the mercy of God and all. And the same story, when it goes further, there's another occasion where Dhruva goes to take revenge, right? In the Akshas, and again, how God intervenes and then nullifies the situation.
Yes.
Probably next week we should continue to that.
Yes, yes.
No, because you stopped with saying the chanting helps, and that's the help of the chanting that happens in the second part of the story.
Yes, yes. Wonderful, wonderful. Maybe you should continue it next class.
Hare Rama.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu Janmati. Any other thoughts, Praveen Prabhu? Everything okay?
Yeah, Prabhuji. One thing I wanted to add previously was, so many times we think whatever somebody has done to us, we should do the same thing to them. Like that is like, I'm
Tit for
just
tat.
talking normal tendency, not a devotee tendency, but yeah, like somebody didn't call me for something, so I won't call them, right? Or somebody we went to their house, they didn't, offer me things properly, so I won't do it when they come. So one rule I follow, Prabhuji, is whatever somebody does to you, irrespective of whatever, you should do whatever is the thing that is principle of you. Right? Whether somebody does it or not, like if you think that is the right thing, you should continue doing it, whether they would do it or not. And that's what one thing I always think that is the best thing to do, Prabhu. So that just the moment when it happens, that's very important, because that the spur of the moment things will just boil up. So you immediately try to react, but also pausing for a minute will help, and also thinking that I shouldn't do the same thing because they did to me also will help, Prabhu. That's what I would say.
Yes, yes. Very much, Prabhuji. Very much. Very true. But for that, we need a good association of devotees.
Yes, Prabhuji, all this will help, definitely. Chanting.
Yeah. Like Maheshwar Prabhu told, na, be in satsang, all problems solved.
Yes.
Be in satsang. When you're in satsang, all the things will be taken care.
Yes.
When you're out of satsang, then who will help you? How many people outside are teaching us not to take revenge? Tell me. All our movies, taggede ledu. That jukne ka nahi. That is what our movies are teaching. That is what the whole world is teaching. Execute your revenge. Execute. Right? But only Bhagavatam is teaching that don't execute revenge. Accept it. Whatever happens in your life, accept it and move forward in your goal of life. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekah kurnadana. Keep that Vyavasayatmika goal very clear in your mind and go towards that. No need to execute all these things.
By and large, the society thinks the Kurukshetra is a revenge thing. That's the problem, bro.
See, recently one college asked me to give a lecture on anger management. Was it Vidya Bharati? Vigyan Bharati. 1,000 students. I was giving this lecture, and the topic was anger management. I started the lecture saying, "Taggede ledu." And all the students were so happy. Oh, yes, sir. Taggede le, taggede le. Taggale ra naina. I concluded the lecture saying, "Purtiya taggale." Anger has to be brought down. You can't, go by that taggede ledu feeling and ruin your life. That is a movie. That's a movie. Let it be a movie. You like the dialogue, let the dialogue be like that. But you cannot execute that in your life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Who's speaking?
Surendra.
Surendra Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, is there any situation like for this instance, like this is the best thing to be practiced, and or like, I mean, it is named as revenge maybe, but however, that is the perfect thing to be done. And so, I mean, let's suppose one person haven't done that, and I mean, thinking that it might comes under a revenge. So, could that person accomplish some bad karma on that?
You're saying that if you execute the revenge, will it result into bad karma?
Like this is the perfect thing to be done at that instance, but he haven't done that, thinking that might seems to be a revenge.
Oh, so you're saying he did not execute it using this principle,
yes,
whereas he's actually supposed to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, Prabhuji, definitely, not acting when the action is needed is also violence, right? We discussed about it in Bhagavad Gita, right? When you are supposed to protect somebody and you don't act on that, when you have the capacity to protect, then definitely it results in bad reaction onto you. So this principle should be applied definitely according to time, place, and circumstance. But fundamentally, you should also think that, am I the person who is supposed to do this now? Am I the person who is supposed, for example, one woman is being abused on the road, and you're walking there and you're seeing that the abuse is happening, right? Are you going to say that I'm not going to punish them? I'm not going to, well, you have to do. You have to do in your capacity, whatever you have to do, you have to do. Go stop them from doing what they're doing, right? You have to stop. You cannot say that, oh, Krishna, you are there, you will take care. Well, Krishna has sent you there to do it, right? But once the police comes and you hand over them to the police, and then next the law will take its course, right? There is a limit at which you have to stop yourself. You don't have to go all the way. At one point, you have to stop yourself. You have done your part, and whenever that situation comes back in front of you, you again do your part, but not thinking that you are the only executor of that punishment. Right? You are not going to make that your life and soul, and that is the only thing that is there. Of course, you have to do what you're supposed to do, but don't think that I am the one who is doing it. That is what ahankara means, right? That I am the one who is doing it. And what if the police caught that person and left him, or court in the court he won the argument and he actually became innocent, and it is proved that he's walking on the streets even though he did something wrong in front of you, but he is left by the law. What do? Do you want to go and punish him now because court could not do it? No, just leave it there. Just leave it there. Tell that woman to be more careful, and be with her if you can, or let some right person be with her when she's walking through that place. I'm just saying, you don't have to make it your life and soul to execute that punishment. You do your part and leave it at a certain point.
Yeah, understood, Prabhu. Like, I think there is some sort of ignorance and there's an intelligence. So these two coefficients are like, once we understand intelligently that everyone, if someone puts in you in a position, like, I mean, it doesn't require any certification from him that, okay, you are so and so, or you are not so and so. I mean, we don't require that, and that is in ignorance. And once we are in intelligent position, then we don't need anyone's certification, or anything's certification.
Prabhuji, we did not come to this material world to deliver others. First, we have come to this material world to deliver ourselves. Right? Remember that principle always. So apply the spirituality strongly on yourself. Keep that as the most important activity in your life. Then whatever you want to help, you want to do to others, you do it. But this should not be compromised. When your act of revenge, when your act of correction is affecting your spiritual life beyond a point, that means you're doing more than what is needed. You cannot do everything. You cannot do everything. And circumstantial, Krishna will guide you. If you're chanting nicely, as I said, he will give you the willpower to understand what should be done, what should not be done.
Yeah, Prabhu, I think that's what I'm understanding. Like, what I mean, this intelligence comes from this reading scriptures and associating, and that's where we can do that discrimination, whether to take. I mean, we are naming it to do that action or not.
See, I'll tell one incident. One woman in our society, she had a bad experience with Prabhu. Some other Prabhu, he misbehaved, right? But Mataji did not like it. It's different. It's not husband and wife. But Mataji was not properly treated by one Prabhu. And that Prabhu holds a very, very big position in the society. Unfortunately, he's in a very big position within ISKCON society. Now, this woman doesn't know how to execute that revengeful feeling that she carries now, that, this person misbehaved with me. So she went to the Guru. And she told the Guru that, Guru Maharaj, this is what happened. He being such a devotee in such a stature, he misbehaved with me. And this is what happened, right? So his Guru, he told her, Amma, can you prove it? Can you prove this in front of a panel that he did this to you? Can you prove it? She said, Guru Maharaj, I am telling you, don't you believe me? I said, I am believing you. I am believing you. I am believing that what has happened to you is wrong. And I also pray to Krishna that should not happen and he should get the right treatment. Krishna will take care of it. But I'm asking you a simple question. Can you prove it? She said, no. Then her guru told her, Amma, just go back and do your chanting. Forget about this incident. Just forget about the incident. What will happen to him will happen. Maybe the guru has a plan to execute in some other way, through some other authority. That message will go to higher authorities or whatever. But he told that lady that, just ignore that incident. You cannot punish him. You cannot punish him. You cannot see him punished because he's in a very senior position and you don't have any proof to prove him. You don't have any proof to prove that person is wrong. Right? That was advice to the disciple. Now, instead of following that advice, the false ego was so high that that lady made a video on the guru. That this guru is also mixed up with that person. They're all fake people in ISKCON and the whole movement is bad. I'm telling you a real incident that happened, names apart. Now you tell me, Prabhuji and Mataji's, how do you deal with the situation? Right? What Guru told is wrong? No, Guru told what is right. He wants to help, but there is some help that cannot be done in a way that she's expecting. It will be in a different way. But she was too much in a hurry. I want the punishment. I want it in front of me. I want justice. And Gurudev, you are there to execute that. The poor Guru said, you go do your chanting, Amma, I'll take care. When you cannot prove it. So why do you want to humiliate yourself more? Right? In front of a panel, why do you want to humiliate yourself? You cannot prove it ultimately. You don't have anything to prove it. So just leave the matter there. Krishna is there, he'll take care. Krishna is taking care of devotees, non-devotees, everybody. So sometimes, Prabhuji and Mataji's, being in a spiritual institution, being in spirituality also, we are faced with situations which are beyond our capacity to handle. Beyond our capacity to handle. And in those times, we should go by the principles. Principles of Bhagavatam teach us that if you implement this principle, you can continue your devotional service. And what is the result of that now? She is struggling in her devotion now. Krishna did not like her act on her own guru. Krishna doesn't like it, right? When you have acted so badly on your own guru, because he could not help you the way you wanted him to help, right? She is struggling in her devotion. She might be even out of the devotion. Krishna will remove the attraction toward Krishna consciousness. So, Prabhuji and Mataji's, in especially in devotional life, we are dealing with two-edged sword. Our sword is not one-sided. Our sword is two-sided. Whichever side you hold, it is very dangerous. It can immediately you can get blood. Right? Two-sided sword. So hold it very carefully. Deal with devotees very carefully. Deal with outsiders very carefully, because Krishna is watching you. You are chanting Hare Krishna. So Krishna is watching you. You should have that faith. Krishna is watching me. Are you all understanding, Prabhuji and Mataji's? I didn't want to quote this example, but to tell you to what gravity situations can go. A guru is tested. A disciple is tested. A devotee is tested. Institution is tested for one incident. And the question is how you walked out of it. What is the principle of Bhagavatam that you hold it on when you walked out of that circumstance? Will glorify you. Krishna will be happy with you, how you walk out of that situation. Right? Without doing any rupture, without doing any bad to anybody, accepting what has happened is your own karma. That Mataji was a senior devotee. In spite of hearing so many Bhagavatam lectures like this, she still did what was not needed. See that revengeful attitude. The revengeful attitude was towards the devotee who did something wrong. It got translated to revenge towards her own guru, initiating guru, and ultimately it went into the level of ISKCON. And the videos are floating. and there are 10 people commenting, and they're also adding their incidents, right? Uncontrolled situation, unmanageable situation. Because why this all happened? Chanting is not good. Now, how many will believe this when I say, if your chanting is not good, this can happen? Tell me, do you have faith in chanting? If you chant properly, Krishna will give you the willpower to handle any situation in life. Right? So Radhesham Prabhu once told in a lecture, beautiful statement, said, don't cheat others, don't be around cheaters. He told me two things: don't cheat others and don't be around cheaters. He didn't say correct the cheaters. He said don't be around them. As soon as you see some people are cheating, inside or outside, just walk out of that. That I cannot be with them. And you don't cheat. You don't cheat. Just leave the matter there. Okay, brothers and Matajis? I know it's a little heavy lecture, heavy discussion today. I myself am scared whether I'll be able to, implement what I spoke. But please pray for me. Right after I walk out of this room, I'll be facing a test. Right? So we all have to pray for each other that Krishna, 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 please give me the intelligence. Please give me the faith. Please give me the faith that you are there. You will take care of everything. Please give me the strength to practice devotion. Give me the strength to face these situations. Give me the willpower to choose you in all circumstances. That is all we need. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnava vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Hari Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brothers and Matajis.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Srila Dhruv Maharaj ki jai. Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.